Catherine Brown. I know some of you very well, some of you don't know as well, and I'm just delighted that you're here. So you are at the Good Human Sales Secrets Friday webinar. This is a grand experiment. Love the word experiment. It helps me feel liberty to mess up and to not be perfect. And we all like to be perfect. So it's really freed me to come on, teach through material I have, offer to the public, and really make it a marketing experience for people so they can meet each other, do a little networking, and hopefully walk away with at least 1 or 2 tips to try when they're selling the next week. So we've already introduced ourselves. If you haven't put your information in the chat, and what you did is you just got to experience a little bit of the relationship development that happens inside our communities. I do 2 things. I own the National Business Development Association, and as a sales training arm, it's a group that I'm moving all my sales training under that umbrella over the next few months. And that's a group I just bought a couple months ago. And then I also lead groups and help people launch groups that are for B2B networking. Why? Because it's the easiest way to get your next client, and you have a very high probability of closing when someone walks in and introduces you. So you got a little taste of this business development, this relationship development, and we're going to talk today about a topic that overlaps a little bit with personal development, because what I've learned with this whole background, I won't read all this to you, but what you're going to see is lifelong salesperson, some formal marketing training, turned it into sales training material. And I'll tell you what I learned that we're going to talk about today comes back to a concept that is helpfully illustrated, I think, by the simplicity of this model. One of the sales training systems that I really enjoy that informed how I evolved as a seller is a system that is called integrity selling. Integrity selling is the brand, okay? And in integrity integrity selling, like, you can still to this day find an integrity selling certified trainer. You can buy their book. Some of you have read the book, The Inner Game of Selling. It's a wonderful book. And this book comes out of that. Okay. And this concept is what I'm saying is an overlap about personal development that makes a big difference in your sales life. And so what this diagram is illustrating, I could talk about it for an hour because it's so many things you can do with it, because I've used it over and over for different purposes over the years. But they call it the understanding model. The idea is you're understanding yourself. And what I'm going to do here is show you that as we are going through material that I created years ago for a course called the Deep Dive that I created, what I learned was that I have to actually start, for people to be successful, we actually have to think about the circle at the bottom first. Because who you believe you are and what things you hold to be true will shape the action that you take. And a lot of sales training, a lot of other kinds of training, I would imagine Deborah, who was one of our guests here today, talked about training young people up into her industry. And I would imagine that any skills training gets impaired when people have trouble applying it because they don't believe that they can. That's a very simple example of sharing the model. But what it's saying is people are complex. We think that we're going to master something cognitively up here in what this diagram has as I think. But we're the I feel section of us, which now I'm, if you're driving or off camera, now I'm kind of like rubbing my chest, like keeping my chest warm. Okay, the I feel, which is like in my heart, in my gut, inside me, lower down below my rational intellectual mind, I have emotion, right? Because when I have experiences, I decide what those experiences feel. And that can rule the way I act. But what's even bigger that informs how we act in sales situations is actually who we really believe we are. And some of that is conscious and some of that is subconscious. And that's why we're talking the next couple of weeks about beliefs, and we're moving our way through the sales process. We're going to get to the nuts and bolts of what to do on a call, but it's very, very, very important that you take responsibility for understanding that you decide how to interpret other people's actions. You decide what it means when someone doesn't call you back. You decide what it means when you didn't show up the way you hoped and the call didn't go as well and you're beating yourself up. You decide what meaning you give situations. For some of you, you're advanced students of professional and personal development in this area, and you're like, of course. Others are like, I don't know why this matters. Okay. It matters so much because the more, obviously use the word evolved, the more evolved and committed you are to having what's called metacognition, looking back on a situation and going, what did I make that situation mean? How did I show up there? The more you learn to analyze yourself and what you did, the better you can improve how you perform next time. And you also gain more confidence. Okay, so understanding that you're a meaning maker is a really, really big deal. So we talked last time, I'm going to breeze through this. We talked last time, and we'll circle back again, and there's copy on LinkedIn about this, so I'm not going to go through it in great detail, but we talked a lot about this idea of confirmation bias. And it's the idea that whatever I believe, that word believe, right, the big circle, whatever I believe is true, I'm going to go look to make sure that's what I see. So if I think that people are going to think that I'm pushy in my actions, then anything short of someone buying immediately is probably going to be confirming evidence to me that I'm doing a bad job, right? Because we make other people's actions mean things. And so being knowledgeable about the fact that as a human, this is automatic, it's non-conscious, we do it in sales situations, we just do it. Just know that everyone does that. And the more you can observe yourself in the act, you can be kind to yourself and say, oh, look, there I go. Okay, what if this had a different meaning, right? What if the fact that they haven't responded to my proposal means they're just busy? What if it means my email got caught up in the spam filter because it's an attachment, or it's not an attachment, it's a link, and my email gets caught up in the spam filter because of the link, right? Like these things just happen. So we want to notice when we believe things that are unhelpful. Everyone does this. We get in our own way. We all have limiting beliefs. And again, the more self-mastery you have on noticing what am I believing is true, the more power you have to choose differently. The thing that's interesting is that people will sometimes dig in and set boundaries that keep us stuck. And we do that for a variety of reasons. You see it in sometimes it makes us feel comfortable. Like, I don't want to try this new tool. I don't want to look silly. I don't want to appear too aggressive. We might, by nature or personality, be just like to buck the system, right? Or we might be very risk averse. It can serve us to believe unhelpful things about selling and unhelpful things about our future because it makes us feel safer, or maybe we're afraid we'll lose friends if we're very successful. We might have a real big inner critic that where we punish ourselves for past mistakes, or we might be just kind of a, laissez-faire kind of person that just kind of takes it as it comes. But my point is, it doesn't matter which of these bullets you have. Everybody has what's called a floor. So you won't accept a price, you won't accept behavior, you won't accept a client, you won't accept below a certain standard. Like, no, it's got to be at least this. Everyone has a ceiling. I can't possibly charge more than X. Or I've never made more than X in my life. I don't know how that would be possible. Everyone is living between this range because of these blockages. So the more awareness you develop about this, the better. Okay, I'm gonna share one more concept and then we'll have a brief discussion. So I'll come back to this as an application later. The new scientific principle I want you to take into your selling today that I hope frees you is what's called cognitive dissonance. I was a music major in college. I thought I was going to be a professional percussionist. And so starting with 4th grade piano lessons, I had music every week and practiced at least 7 days a week, sometimes every day for hours as I got into adulthood and got better. but I practiced music from 10 years old until age 22, practically daily. And the term dissonance to me always brings to mind a musical term, because if a chord or a note is dissonant, what it means is it needs to be resolved. Okay, that's a musical term that's saying, I'm going to sing for you. I was not an opera singer, okay, but I'm going to model for you what this is. The song is going da 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 da. It's actually a half step up. Dun, dun. That resolution resolves the dissonance. Because if I sit at dun, what needs to happen? It needs to go to da, because that's in that key. Okay, what does cognitive dissonance mean? It means it's not quite right in our brain. Something needs to be resolved. Well, what does this mean about selling? Okay, well, the problem is that cognitive dissonance is a fancy way of saying that we believe multiple things at the same time about a single topic. So that's where I want to spend a few minutes talking about today, because I want to bring to your awareness that you might be doing this, so that when you notice it, you are empowered to say, oh, there's that thing that all humans do. I'm experiencing some dissonance. This is normal. What am I going to do about it? Because what happens is when other people experience dissonance, especially about what they're allowed and not allowed to do in selling, or how much success they are or aren't able to enjoy, when they feel in conflict with their inner self, it just stops them. But I don't want you to stop. I want you to be empowered to keep going and become a better and better seller. So you have to notice when this is happening. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to ask. So this is the part where we just have a few minutes left until those that need to leave at 10:30 are free to do that. Completely understand. And I can stay a few minutes longer if people have questions or want to continue the conversation. So I'm going to ask for volunteers who are thinking about this idea of dissonance. Like, what about sales feels conflicting in your brain? That's my question. What about sales feels conflicting in your brain? Because I want to make sure people are seeing the progression of what she just shared. Okay, what I heard, Deborah, was that people make negotiation mean different things as a seller. And Deborah said, I recognize that there are multiple ways of interpreting what haggling means. To some, it's just fun. There's whole cultures, I'm not going to name them, right? Is it at risk of coming across,
No,
there are whole
no.
cultures of people are raised from the very first day
But,
that it's like practically immoral not to haggle, right? Like that you don't buy anything without haggling. So there's all different societal expectations, your own personality, whether you're conflict avoidant and kind of fearful about that, which I have felt that way before myself. Like all of that comes into the meaning that you give negotiating. And you have to decide how to resolve that some way. And what Deborah's saying, she's saying, for me, I decided that I'm going to assume it's a game to them. It makes them feel good. It's fine to me. And I feel fine going up a little more, knowing I am willing to come down if they ask. What I want you all to hear is that is a completely honorable, understandable way, because what you heard her say is that her motive is it makes them feel good. It makes them feel good. Okay, so it's fine. You also are completely free to say, I don't like that. And it feels like such a violation of who I am that I'm going to find a way to say, hey, I know that's helpful sometimes to people, and I get it, but I've given a lot of careful thought to my pricing, and this is just what it is. You're also free to do that. Anyone is free to do that, because the key is that you have integrity in yourself. You feel like you're doing a service to another person so that you have confidence. You don't lie, right? You don't outright lie, because that creates inner conflict with people, and that you're resolved. Because as long as you leave it as an open loop that's not resolved, you'll be fearful when the conversation about price comes up. So I am more, Deborah, in the second half. Like I don't like to negotiate prices, not that I don't ever do it, but because it comes up with expensive custom training for companies, because that's negotiable. Memberships, it just is what it is. Like that's an area where I've said I won't negotiate. But I can tell you that I've done so much work in this area on the resolution of this issue that part of why I don't like to negotiate is because it's very hard for me not to take it personally and think you don't value what I'm offering. I know intellectually that's not true. I know it doesn't have to mean that because I completely believe you when you're saying some people just like to, it's fun for them. It's like to feel like they got a deal. I get that with this part of my brain, but part of my brain's like, I can feel like a little bit rising up in me where I think, why is this even a conversation? I'm going to over deliver. I mean, I'm standing here giving free consulting, right? Like I'm going to over deliver. If you work with me, why are you trying to get the price down? Like it's so challenging not to take it personally. And so a resolution for me a lot of times is just to be prepared going in saying there's not going to be flexibility on the price. And I'm not saying everyone has to do that. I'm saying you have to notice what is creating that dissonance and you have to find a way to resolve it or it's going to hold you back. Does that make sense? Like, there's like different ways of doing it, and understanding what helps you feel empowered is one of the most important things to solve. Let me make a quick proposal to you about this event. I know some of you would come really far. I see who's on the call. I know it makes sense for you to have business in the States and do this. I want to let you know that 1 week from today, we will be releasing the landing page for an all-day sales training conference. It is not industry specific. It is not CRM specific. Okay, why I say that is because a lot of sales conferences are Salesforce conferences or HubSpot conferences, and those have a different agenda. This is B2B best practices. And so I've taken all the things, especially with the incorporation of sales and marketing materials, I've taken the things from the last 3 years that I've really noticed about how buyers are buying differently. And we've created an agenda with keynotes and breakout sessions for all day Friday, September 6th. The reason you want to be on the announcement list is because there's a reception the night before. And if you choose to come in or you live here and you want to join, you want to network at our VIP reception the night before because it's a chance to meet the people you see online. So save the date, and just wait for those details to come out. It's not an expensive conference. I make it very accessible because I'm trying to build an ecosystem of people. So your highest cost for sure would be the flight. It's not the conference itself. So all of that will be released in 1 week. And if you have questions or you want to DM me about it, don't hesitate and don't wait. But I just want to make sure people know that that's coming. So thanks for coming. Good to see you. Talk to you later. Okay.